You know, one of the most common questions that I've been getting since I've been showing growing in the galvanized cans and in the 5-gallon buckets for the dwarf tomato project is the mix that I use in those cans. Now, I've shown before filling up the large beds, which are the 4-foot by 16-foot, but the mix for this is a little different. What I use in the cans and the buckets is a soilless mix. I've found that if I use any kind of soil in the cans, it compacts too much. It just gets too hard and the plants don't like it. Even though I've tried actually adding vermiculite to it, the plants just don't seem to like it. So I don't know why, but since I moved to the soilless mix, my plants have been going gangbusters. Now, the mix that I use was popularized by Mel Bartholomew. That's hard. That's kind of a tongue twister. Anyways, he wrote the book Square Foot Gardening. And so if you haven't read that, that's a great book. I recommend it highly. But I add one element to his mix. Now, he recommends equal parts of peat moss, vermiculite, or perlite. This happens to be perlite, but I don't like perlite. I had this laying around, so I'm going to use it. But perlite I think it just kind of stirs up more dust. You kind of have to use a mask. And then equal parts of compost. Now, he recommends sourcing your compost from many different places, at least like 5. For instance, using leaf compost, mushroom compost, composted manures, and stuff like that. Now, this compost that I have comes from my own compost pile, and I add a lot of stuff to that. I do add leaves to it, grass clippings. I add composted chicken manure and kitchen scraps and stuff like that. So this comes from many different sources. But if you can just source it as many places as you can, that's what he recommends. But you can just go to the nursery or whatever and get different bags of it too if you want to. I always just make sure that it's organic. But now, what I usually do, this trailer here holds about 1 yard of the mix. So I go to my local landscaping place here and I get 1 yard. And they do follow organic practices. So it's got all 3 elements that I need, but it doesn't have the vermiculite or perlite. Wow, that wind's kicking up. Sorry if it's coming out on the sound. They add pumice to it. So they don't add vermiculite, but they add pumice. But it's kind of the same thing. It's just this rock. And but anyways, when I have to mix up some myself and I don't have enough, I don't want to go and have to get a whole yard of it if I'm just going to fill up 1 or 2 cans. So I do mix it myself. So I just go and get the peat moss and I get the vermiculite and I take my own compost here. But now, as far as Mel's mix goes, I add one element to it, and it's this. It's called BioLive. It's 542 NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And the recommended amount here is 1/4 cup per gallon. So now I've got 5-gallon buckets here. So if you figure it out, that's a quarter. That's a 1 1/4 cups per bucket. So that's 3, 4. I mean, it's just cups and cups of it. What I try to do is I just try to. I usually add half of what the box recommends, because as far as Mel's mix goes, he doesn't recommend putting any BioLive in. He just recommends the compost, and he suggests that you get enough nutrients from the compost to carry you through. Now, it's been my experience that I don't get enough nutrients to carry me through the whole summer. So I add the BioLive, and that seems to kind of stimulate them, and they grow so much better with the BioLive. Now, I will be doing another video because some people have asked me, how do I replenish the cans? Now, they've also asked me about the beds too. So I'll be doing, my next video is going to cover how do I replenish my plants as the summer, how do I replenish the soil, whatever, around the plants as the summer progresses. So I'll be doing a video on that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix this up and I'm going to fill a can. So I'll be using, the cans are 20-gallon cans, and these are 5-gallon. So basically, it's going to take all 3 of these, which is 15 gallons, and then I'll mix up probably a half of a bucket or so. But I'll use it because if I mix it up early, I'll still be using it for other things. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put equal parts of all 3 of these in there, and I'm going to add my BioLive, which is going to be, well, do the math. I've got 15, I'll be having like 30 gallons because I'll be using 6 buckets to 30 gallons, which is 1/4 of a cup per gallon, which is, you do the math. So 1/8 times 30, that's 0.125 times 30 is what, 3.75, something like that anyways. So I guess about 4 cups of this for the whole mix, something like that. I hope I did the math right, but hey, when you get a certain age, you just don't think about math. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and mix this all up. And when I mix it, I'm going to slowly add the BioLive and mix it, add a little bit more, mix it, and add, you know what I'm saying. That way it gets throughout the whole mix. So let's go ahead and mix this up and fill up one of our cans. Stuff is nasty. Then I always leave about 1 inch or 2 at the top. Another good thing about this mix, it's fairly light. So I can pick this up and walk around with it. Of course, when I water it, that's another story. And really, that's all there is to this mix. It's really simple. All right, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you later.